What?
We're like this very small elite group. There are only a few of us, a handful. I'm like, where is everybody? Is everybody doing family affair or whatever it's called next week? Family?
I'm not. It's
Yeah.
right now. Money's a little tricky for me,
Yeah.
so I've got to put money where where I can.
Yeah, sure.
I wish I could do it, but
Yeah.
so much going on right now.
Yeah.
How about you? Are you doing it?
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
You doing it, Lance?
I don't know exactly what he's referring to.
The family dinner thing?
Family reunion?
Is it called family reunion? I think that's what it's called.
I think so.
I mean, for you, I think this is just my thought on it's good for you, Mari, and I don't know what Lance for me, because you're like already a ways into it and it adds to everything.
I think it's really good for anybody. I know Joey is happy to lay out the money if you wanted to do it and then take it out of your next like 2 commission checks to pay him back.
Yeah.
They usually have it, Lance. I've never been to it because it happened just before I started last year. They had it, and they usually go to Las Vegas or Dallas or someplace, and it's tens of thousands of agents, and they have breakout sessions and keynote speakers. But I've done Bold and I've done Mega Camp, and I think you get stuff out of it. I think you hear other successful people and how they became successful, and you're like, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So, and of course, it's going to be virtual this year, like everything else.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's on the daily. If you scroll down, Joey's daily. Here's what's happening today. The classes. It's usually on that. Who's teaching this class today? A day in the life of an agent.
It's going to be Dragon today.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And then just to, for a little background about family reunion, I've been to
Merlin. Yeah.
I think it's my, what is it? I think 3rd or 4th it's going to be. So this is going to be either the 4th or the 5th one that I'll be going to. And I really think that the beauty of it is it's as customizable as you could possibly want it to be, just because for me, for the past 3-4 years, it's just been like, staff oriented, right? Like what can an MCA do better? What can, how can leadership do better, right? And they have classes, every hour on the hour specifically geared toward that. And, going all the way up to, I'm a top producer, right? What can I do to, bump my business up even more? And so, definitely a huge value for any level, whether you're brand new and they have classes that are just going over, hey, are you wanting to kind of boost your social media presence, right? Even something like that. They have those classes, even up to like, hey, do you need, like, are you looking to break out of that, $1 to $3 million range? What can I do to make it better? So, if you're definitely on the fence about it, I'd highly recommend it. Especially because, the whole deal with, I'm not quite sure if Joey is having it. I don't quite remember if he's doing it from what he said in the team meetings. But yeah, if he is doing that deal where it's, office fronts it and then we'll take it out of your next closing or two closings, definitely really good value that you can get out of it, just because you can be as involved or not as involved as you want in family reunion. You can take every single class, you could schedule your entire day out of it, and you could stick around just for an hour if one of the classes is only one of the classes is of interest to you. Go as you please.
Mhm. I think that's what he did say, Merlin, that he was going to do it that way in one of the meetings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and definitely, if you ask me, it's a great deal, just because usually I think it's, gosh, how much are those tickets? I think
I think it was 119. Early bird was 109. Is that right? 119? I think so.
I think so. Yeah, and I think the in-person, so the conference itself, if it were to be at a physical place, I think it's at least double that. I don't remember off the top of my head how much it was, but
Is it for one day or?
no, it's for
It's the whole week, I think. Isn't it the week? Yeah. It's
15 through
the 19th, maybe 4 days.
something like that, or 14 through 19, something like that.
No, the 15th is Monday. So
Okay, gotcha.
next Monday.
You guys get like a hotel together?
Yeah, we usually do the whole thing, where we'll buy out a block, and so we're all like, string of doors on one of the levels, and it's a good time. It's a good time, and it's a really good environment too, just because like for me, you meet people in everywhere from Alaska to tip of Florida, and you just kind of get to see how do they do it versus for us, we sell 4 houses and it's $4 million, right? For them, they sell 100 houses and it's $4 million. So you kind of see how somebody like across the country that has to do like a ton of units to reach the same amount of volume, like how they kind of like manage their own time.
Here I have it here. It's February 15th to the 18th.
15 through 18.
And let's see what it says about registration.
That's 129 for general admission.
129.
And you can
Oh,
bring guests too.
I thought it was more than that for some reason. Yeah, 129. That's for the entire week?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Maybe I will do it. And then you go in and out of the classes as you can, or?
Yeah. I don't know how how the whole online portion was structured. I know they did it for the what's it called, for Mega Camp just a few months ago. But I mean, I'm sure you have your your logins for whatever like Zoom sessions that you're going into, and you get to pick and choose.
Yeah, and that would be so much fun to go. It's too bad about COVID.
I know. And this one was supposed to be in Vegas this year.
Where are they? Where was the last one?
Last one was in Dallas.
Dallas. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then year before that, I believe, was the New Orleans.
Wow.
Yeah, that's too bad. It's such an easy to just drive there and get a room. So
Right, exactly. I was really lucky because my first year that I went, it was actually in Anaheim. They did it at the Anaheim Convention Center, and so that was an easy. I didn't have to rent a room, anything like that. It was just drive down to Orange County, and that was it.
mm-hmm. Where's
Does
that?
Dragon know she's doing this today?
Her invite, she accepted the invite, so I'm sure she's gotten a couple pings. Let me text her really quick.
Where's that reality show? Realtors in Alaska. It's got to be already done.
Yeah, I think there is one.
Huh?
I think there is a show. Are you joking? I think there is a show. you
Yeah,
know,
there's gotta be, because it would be hilarious, because not hilarious, but I mean, I'm sure that they would make it look like they're on dog sleds going from place to place or something. Just to make it fascinating. And
Staying in igloos.
yeah. Every reality show it's ever possibly done is always done.
actually, I did something years ago. I did some research. I had a cooking show that I pitched and actually got optioned. And
Oh.
in Alaska, it was called 50 Bites, and it was about names of recipes with names of places in all the 50 states. And Alaska, there was a stat that something like 1 in every 6 people, I don't know if they own an airplane or they have their pilot's license because of the terrain of Alaska. Like they commute to work by, biplane.
Mhm.
It's crazy.
I can't wait to go there someday. My friend is from there, and she's got a travel thing she does, and they're going to eventually find her, because she's totally reality television material. But it's called Adventurous Winos, and she takes them on drinking tours of stuff, and they do animal adventure stuff, and
Fun.
believe it or not, they do whiskey with them, skeet shooting and all kinds of
Good.
stuff.
Give drunks a gun. That sounds like fun. Liquor them up and give them a rifle. Yeah.
Yeah, makes for great reality television.
Right. Thanks, Dick Cheney. Remember when he shot his friend in the face?
Yeah.
Oops.
Friend.
Yeah.
The
Former friend.
former friend.
On accident.
By accident. Yeah.
What happened to the option? It just did it fall through?
Nothing. Yeah, it just petered out. Nothing ever happened. It was a good show too. Good idea.
And I'll give it a couple more minutes, and if anything, I'll go ahead and get it started. And when she jumps on, she'll jump on.
Okay.
Maybe she had a call or something.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I had a question I was going to ask you, Merlin. I can't think of what it is now.
Yeah, whenever you think of it.
It was a good class yesterday. A lot of info.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
And I especially liked class number 6 about your unique selling proposition. Was that Dragona also, or was that Tracy?
I missed that one. I think that was the one I missed.
Oh, yeah. It gave me some thoughts. Which
I gotta look.
I think that was Tiffany with the value proposition.
Oh, Tiffany, right. It was
Yeah.
Tiffany. Yeah.
Merlin, where do you find those, or where do you guys find the recorded ignites? Where are they?
Yeah, let me actually throw the oops.
The
Let me
one
put it in the chat.
Oh, great, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, let's. Okay, so that right there is our YouTube channel, and yeah, we have team meetings, Ignite classes.
Okay.
Doesn't go too far back because I believe this is the first Ignite that we've actually started to record it, but everything's there so far.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, it was great catching up, and should I Venmo you?
If for any reason I have to go for a few minutes because a couch is being delivered, just have to, if you see me disappear.
Well, we want to see that.
So's my dog. My new puppy.
What color is the new couch?
It's red.
Oh, I like it.
Bulb.
I like it
Bulb.
already.
24/7 bulb. No.
Well, this is a day in the life of an agent. Dragon is missing in action because she probably has a client call.
Boy.
Hey, Merlin, is the office open on Monday for President's Day?
Merlin's gone now. It's like Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I can hear him talking. I think
There's
he's
if
talking.
one more person leaves, they're never coming back.
Sorry, guys.
Is the office open on Monday?
Yes, it is.
President's Day? Yeah.
Okay, so I just heard back from Dragoness. She got called to a showing. So I'll go ahead and get started right now. We'll see. She said she might be able to pop on at any point. If not, then I'll go ahead and just run through the whole thing with you guys.
Beautiful.
All right, let me just text her back and then we will get started. All right. So I'm just going to be running through just the little side notes that they have over here as far as the KW University goes. So it will sound maybe a little robotic, but at the same time, I'll go ahead and throw in my 2 cents whenever I get the opportunity, just so you can get the sense of like for me, I've been an agent for maybe it's been the side gig for, I think I've had my license for about a year and a half now. But then for the past 3 years before that, I've been an MCA. So I've gotten to work fairly close with, everybody from the top producers all the way to the brand spanking new agents that are asking me what is an MLS, right? What is the, how do I find my leads? How do I find this and that? So, hopefully this will be a good kind of peek into, whatever stage that you're at. Hopefully I can contribute something to it to kind of push it along. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go to this sheet right here. Okay, so first off, we can go ahead and start with anybody that wants to take the floor. A quick, just kind of 60-second spiel of, what's your takeaway been from however long you've been in the industry, been practicing actively. What's something that you've taken away so far, something that maybe you're grateful for, that you've learned so far, that you already feel yourself kind of growing?
Well, I would say structuring my day and time blocking. I try to do calls in the morning and then marketing and everything else in the afternoon. I love Gary Keller's book, The One Thing. I've read it at least a dozen times. The Education, I've read MREA book. All the classes that you give are just terrific. I've never seen such positive, supportive company and people. I think there's a lot of support, a lot of education and structure. And I think it comes down to, you got to make those calls, let people know what you're doing, because that's how the business comes.
Right. No, absolutely. Anybody else want to chime in on that? Something that, they've picked up recently, like, so for Maury, it was a, kind of like an organizational, like a structural, like
Yep.
for your business build. Is there, it could be something as like I mean, for me, right? It was a kind of this whole thing of like, you find your strengths, you find your weaknesses, you find what you need to build like internally, right? So then for one is I was already fairly organized as the MC for a few years, but transitioning to the whole agent position, that was a kind of a different thing, right? You kind of get to figure out like something as like, do I actually like talking to people on the phone? Do I like engaging with followers on Instagram? Do I like stuff like that? And you just kind of find your like strengths and weaknesses within your own business, right? So since whatever you've been working on, however you've been building it from your day to day, what kind of opportunities do you feel like you've opened up for yourself?
I think besides, I'm trying to not at first I was very stressed out about all of this. I was like, this is so overwhelming. This gives you a chance to take bites out of it and go, it's something you're going to learn. So I'm trying to just look at this like you're also learning. So try to enjoy the learning aspect of it, because you can add it to everything else in your life besides the real estate, as far as the marketing. But one of the things I appreciate about so far about everybody's been so great about it, not just being about selling. It's not, it doesn't feel like it's just about, everybody seems to really care about the fact that you keep it not just about the business, but about caring about people and be interested in people, trying to help.
Yeah.
I think that really made me want to go with Keller Williams, this group, when I started.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just seeing through the years, it's like this is actually I had the opportunity to help out a handful of other offices by being their MCA, and like just seeing the dynamic that we have in this office versus even other KW offices. I mean, honestly, some of it's night and day, right? Like as won't name any specific offices, but there are offices where there have been some agents that will like chew each other out for farming or marketing in somebody's neighborhood, right? And like you can't see me right now, but I'm putting air quotes up there, somebody's neighborhood, right? As opposed to here, if you were to ask like any of the top producers, like, hey, I know you're very familiar with I mean, let's just say around here, like the Larchmont area, right? I know you're a prominent figure in this Larchmont area. Would you mind helping me out? We can co-list it, whatever you like. And people are more than happy to do it with you, right? It's just all about love, support here. And honestly, it's been great, right? Here we go. So let's jump on to the next thing here. So what successful agents do every day? And one thing that I have, told people as an admin, and I still tell people now that are, even though I'm still fairly new, people that are brand new, is that, don't take this as somebody that, they've already made the money, right? They've already had the years under their belt. Take it as, the small wins too, right? Like if right now your goal is to just get one lead or get one, have one listing presentation in the next month, right? And if that happens, and if it doesn't happen, really just take that in stride and just see it for what it is and say like, you know what, there's always something that I can improve on, right? So meaning that even if you're brand spanking new and it's day 5 for you, you can still be a successful agent if you just keep on with what you're doing. So let's just go down the line here and we can see what successful agents do to grow their business. So for one, that's a lead generator for buyers and sellers. I know that everybody here has been doing that. When I can make those 9 a.m. calls, I see that everybody's participating. They have their goals and they're just kind of rocking through that. The second thing is make seller listing presentations and get listings. So One thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to be in the situation where you're not prepared, right? Because, you know, I just talked to Maury about this, right? I told him yesterday, just go talk to somebody on the street, which you absolutely could, right? And what if that person goes ahead and says, like, you know what, I think I am ready to go. You have some time right now, right? Are you going to be that person that says, you know what, I have you know, let me just grab my iPad, laptop, notebook, whatever it may be, and just have it right there for them to take a look at? Or are you going to be the one that kind of, you know, lets it float by and says, let me just get a few things together. Maybe we can catch up in a couple days. And, you know, it's not necessarily a completely missed opportunity, but it is an opportunity missed, right? So you definitely want to make sure that you have those all ready to go. So that's number 2 and 3 there, those seller listing presentations and those buyer presentations. And then number 4, preview real estate. So I'm sure on all of the calls and everything that you all have been on so far, one of the things has been be a local expert, right? Like for one, if you have your own listing, if you're showing a house, right, you don't want to go in there and you don't want to say, you know, I don't know too many times. And by I don't know, meaning, you know, you want to know the bed bath count, you want to do the homework on the house, see when it was built, see when, you know, see if anything has been updated in the past 2 years. You know, like not only be a resource and a friend to your clients, but, you know, don't be afraid to reach out to the other agent also, right? Because at the end of the day, you get into escrow with this person, you're going to be working with them, right? Like, it's not just you kind of like hounding on your clients to, like, you know, oh gosh, I don't know what's going on with them. I don't know, like, they're not responding to me. Like, you never want to be caught in that situation. So you definitely want to make sure you know the area that you're working in. And on top of that, you want to be able to know like what you're working with. Let's go ahead and move over to the run the business side. So again, marketing your sellers listings, showing buyers houses, negotiating contracts, transaction management to closing, vendor management, set goals, compliance, risk management, attending the training and get coaching, and manage your money. So kind of running down that list a little bit, these are things that, again, you just want to make sure that you're prepared for, right? Like, if you have a listing, you don't want to be the person that gets questioned, right? Like it's inevitable sometimes that you may have a house sitting a little longer than you expected, maybe the seller expected, right? And questions going to come up, and, you know, believe it or not, I've had even people ask, like, me as the MCA, right? Like, what resources do we have to market the listings, right? And so that comes down to, you know, with whatever resources you have right now, what are you doing, right? Because something like I think Lorna was mentioning this yesterday, right? Where you could go ahead and you could pay for some marketing, right? Like, you can go ahead and go on Facebook, and $50 a day or $50 a week, you can go and you can spend money so it gets blasted out a little bit, right? But at the very same time, you know, we have, you know, some people have 50 some people have 50 friends on their Facebook list, some people have 1,000 friends, some people have like 2,000 or 3,000 friends on their Facebook list, and that's free, right? Like, we can go ahead and post that on there. We can, you know, maybe tag the office and get a little more exposure that way, but that doesn't cost anything, right? Like for me, I have my own separate Instagram profile that I use for business, have a few followers on there, but that doesn't cost anything either, right? So again, with those, you just want to make sure that marketing seller listings to the best of your ability. Show buyers houses. Just make sure that you're doing what you can to make sure that they, you know, their checklist is filled out for the most part, right? Like, you don't want to go in blind to a showing just because it's in the area that they like and the price that they like. Make sure it has you know, checks off some of their boxes. And again, just open communication with your buyer can go a long way. Negotiating contracts here. One of the first things that most of the top producers told me is go ahead and, get those agreements and get those addendums and just read through them, right? You want to be familiar with them because while you can absolutely, ask a lot of the top producers here, hey, can you help me kind of fill in the blanks here? What does this mean? What does that mean? Again, you don't want to be caught with your pants down. Transaction management to closing. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry. Can you tell us when there's a contracts class? Is that every other Tuesday? Is that my understanding that you can go in and take?
With Ignite going, I'm not quite sure when they're going to be having it.
Okay.
But I believe it was every other week that they had that we did have those set up.
Okay.
It was actually Thursday or Friday that Joey was doing it.
Oh, was it? Was it every week?
No, I think every other, but I think
okay.
at the end of the week.
Okay. Transaction management to closing. So, that's pretty self-explanatory. You just want to make sure that you're, referring back to what Maury was saying here, in a deal also, you need to make sure that you have your time managed, right? Because it's really important, especially because everything is with deadlines during the deal, right? So you just want to make sure that you hold yourself accountable for whatever may or may not come up. Vendor management. So with that, the first thing that comes off the top of my head is, do you have people, do you have resources that you can refer people out to? Meaning, if, like for me, I have about like 3 or 4 different lenders that I like to give people the options for, right? While I definitely have seen more experience and maybe like trust one more so over the other, there's still definitely 3 or 4 that I keep in my pocket that I can refer to people just so they can get a clearer picture of who they do or don't want to use, right? So they can call each, see what each have to say, and eventually just go with one or the other. Set goals. Again, just going along with all of the, honestly, 1 through 5. Right? Like what are your goals by running all of these, right? Like, do you, sorry about that. Like, what do you expect to get out of it, right? Like, I think, I don't remember who taught it, but I think 1 or 2 classes ago, we were going over goal setting. Does anybody remember who taught that?
I think it was Ed, wasn't it?
What was it, Ed? Oh, right. Yeah, that was Ed, I think. So, again, for one, what I like to do is I like to set my goals as, little wins, right? Of course, I have my big goals, right? But again, you want to set those little goals along the way. I'm definitely a firm believer of that versus setting up just kind of like, setting the big goals and just like doing a million little things along the way and hoping that you get there, right?
Merlin,
yeah.
Sorry, Mark, I had a quick question. So if you know someone that wants to buy a house, do we send them to the lender to get pre-qualified?
That is usually, yeah. So that's usually the best practice, is you just want to make sure that they're ready to go, right? I recently had an experience with a buyer that so I worked with them pre-COVID, right? And they were all ready to go. They had their pre-qual looking at houses. Of course, COVID hits, and I don't hear from them for, I think it must be something like 9 months, right? And so from there, they finally come back just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they find this house, and it's a Redfin owned house, right? And they said, oh, okay, so we're not available on the weekend, but can we go ahead and see it on Monday? I said, okay, I want you to just make sure though that I know for a majority of the time, like there can be like short timelines on that, right? As far as like when can you get something.
Thank you.
Yeah. So sorry about that. I got cut out, but you just want to make sure that you do have them pre-qualified, because so I think it was like a 3-day lead time that they had on the to get the offers in, and my clients actually we showed the house, and they said, you know what, they were really on the fence about it, right? And, you know, of course, because they work in the entertainment industry, finances were a big portion of it, because for, you know, out of the 9 months, I would say for, I think 3 or 4 of it, they were actually unemployed, got shaken up a little bit, right? And so at the end of the day, I just told them flat out, right? I said they're already requesting like a pre-approval. You know, they're not just going to let me say like, oh, they're, you know, totally fine, because for one, right, they don't know me as an agent, right? And so yes, I mean, that was a kind of long-winded, but you definitely want to have them pre-approved, pre-qualified, just so that way that for one, they have a clear snapshot of the range that they're looking at, and for two, if you have to do one of those, you know, quick offers in the car, that you have it ready to go for sure.
Does it, I'm sorry if I'm asking a lot of questions. I don't really know a lot about pre-qualifying.
Uh-huh.
But does it cost the buyer, the potential buyer, for a pre-qualification?
Your question was, does it cost anything?
Yes.
It does not. So, you know, it's like one of those things where, you know, what I'll usually do is I will just go ahead and I'll, you know, send Andy a text, or I'll call Andy and I'll just say, hey, Andy, I just want to let you know I have somebody that I'm, you know, going to send over your way. You know, is there a good time that I can set up a call? Or I'll just go ahead and send an email, right? Andy, this is John Doe, my buyer. You know, they're looking to get pre-qualified and purchase in the next, I don't know, 60 days, let's say. And, you know, she'll usually take it from there, where she has a, you know, ready to go packet that just says like, okay, Mr. John Doe, I need A, B, C, and D form filled out. And then I can go ahead and run the numbers and let's see where you're at.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Set goals, compliance risk, attend training. You guys are already doing that. And, you know, I know a lot of you are already just showing up on those 9 a.m. calls just for that, you know, let's wake up and let's, you know, get the day started. And then manage money. Again, I think we heard just kind of like little snippets of this from other classes, but, you know, people put away anywhere from 25 to 35% just to make sure at the end of the day they can take care of taxes. All right. Hey, Trish. And then let's see, what is it going to look like today? So grow your business, run your business, set weekly and daily objectives, create accountability, and then we're going to recap that off. All right. So let me just read what this says here. Okay. Okay, here's a little quote for you. People do not decide their futures, they decide their habits, and their habits decide their future. So what does everybody think about this?
I think that's very true. I've never heard it put that way, but that's really good.
Right. Yeah. Like you know, I've probably heard a handful of variations of this, but, you know, definitely does ring, you know, ring true, right? Because again, to go along the lines of, for me, just setting kind of like those little, you know, like little foothold goals that I like to make, right? Like if it's, you know, for 1 week, I just want to make sure that I make X amount of contacts. And for 1 month, I want to make sure that I go on X amount of appointments. You know, hitting those little things versus, you know, just writing on my, you know, whiteboard at home, sell a house, right? Or get a buyer into a house. Like, if by all means, put that up there, right? But what does that start with, right? It starts with the little contacts. It starts with the follow-up. It starts with the, you know, all those little steps. So definitely love this quote, just because that kind of, you know, sums it up really nicely, right? Because if you get into the habit of making sure that you make your contacts, you live in the follow-up, you go on X amount of listings, you preview X amount of houses, right? You're only setting yourself up for success at the end of the day. So let's see, and then I'll just read this off from the guide here. So the goal of today's session is to develop a plan for how to use your time effectively to fulfill the company mission, to build a career worth having, business worth owning, a life worth living, experiences worth giving, and a legacy worth leaving. Start habits now that you will ultimately create the future you want for yourself. Right, let's jump over here. So what are the key activities that need to be on your calendar? So let's see, motivation building, daily success, the business, family time. All right. So do you guys already have something that looks like this, or is this, something that you're just looking at thinking like, wow, this is something that I really need to do?
That's kind of what I do. Not,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
not that language, but I have to do that to block out my days.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, is it,
Sometimes,
just more, sorry,
sometimes,
go ahead.
Say again, Patty. What did you say at the end?
sometimes it's successful and sometimes it goes a little awry, but
Oh, yeah.
it's good to have it the night before because then I'm ready. Like I know exactly when I wake up that I have to accomplish this. Otherwise it's going to go awry. I'm going to get distracted.
I usually do a to-do list for the week on
I'm
Sunday
good.
night.
I brought some lunch in.
Which helps take the pressure off because if I write everything I want to do just as a list, it seems overwhelming. But if I think, oh, well, I don't need to do that on Monday, that's not that important. I can move that to Thursday or Friday, and I kind of like structure out my days for the week.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps me.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of my my follow-up to this because I was just curious, how many of you really like to kind of document down, like I need to do that, like, write everything down. Like for me, I, very loosely like to plan my day out or even my week out, like on a little whiteboard at home. But I know some people that are like completely religious about it. And, they put my whiteboard to shame and they have their Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on it. And they like completely map it out, which, hey, it works for them. Doesn't quite work for me, but hey, more power to you,
Yeah, that works for me, doing it by the days.
Mm-hmm.
I've always done it that way.
Yeah.
It's also when you're trying to do this on top of working and other things, for me, I have to, because otherwise I don't get a lot done.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. All right. So then, what are a few examples of your personal motivation building time? So what gets you like going in the morning or at any point during the day where you kind of find yourself, maybe slumping a little bit and like you still have that extra, I don't know, like if it's 2:00 and you still have to get through the last 3-4 hours of the day, what's your thing?
Well, sometimes it's great to just go out and take a walk and come back.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
get up out of that seat and change your perspective, change your energy. But then I take a deep breath and I really do think of my big why, and is it just going to be a fantasy or is it going to be, I want to make that happen? And if I want to make that happen, it's bigger than oh, I'm tired because it's 3:00 in the afternoon, or, oh, I don't want to make one more phone call. It doesn't matter. That's small compared to the big why that I want to achieve. So that motivates me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. With that. Anybody else?
I think it's the same for me. I just have to get out, take a hike or something really quick, come back, refocus.
Yeah. I hear you. All right. And then let's see what it says here. Successful agents make time every day for the activities you've been doing during the daily success habits. Successful agents never stop lead generation and follow up through phone calls, social media messages, writing notes, etc. Then they split time between other grow the business activities and run the business activities. So, just for a quick reference again, here is the grow the business activities and run the business activities. All right. And like we were just saying, all depends on your schedule, right? and at the same time, make sure it's realistic, right? If you have if you're kind of splitting time with something else, you don't want to fill your day with real estate related tasks when you very well know that, I'm probably not going to be able to get through this, right? You never want to be there, right? Or else it's kind of like a downward spiral. Okay, and so at the end of the day, agents look ahead and time block for the next day. Your schedule can shift based on client schedules for listing or showing appointments, the market center's training calendar, and other items on your schedule. Remember to put your big rocks on your calendar first and then fill in other activities. So, pretty sure that's that direct reference to, I think that was Ed's class where he explained, the professor filling in the big rocks first, bringing in the pebbles, bringing in the sand, bringing in the water, all that good stuff. All right, so now we're going to move over to set your weekly and daily objectives. So, okay, so here we go. So the 411 action goal worksheet. So I'm pretty sure that majority of you have seen these, filled out a bunch, and very familiar with this, right?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm not going to go too in depth on this. It's just making sure that you do stay accountable, and you do make it so that it kind of feels weird explaining it this way, making sure that you understand what you write down, right? Understand what goals you're setting for yourself. Because it's really easy just to, you can listen to the KW stuff if you are into Tom Ferry, or if you're into Tony Robbins, whatever it may be. It's easy to write down what they show on their PowerPoints, right? It's easy to show, like, if they say, they'll throw all these acronyms at you and make sure you do your ABCDE for the day, whatever that is. And, you're going to say, okay, that's great. I'm going to go ahead and put that on my goals, right? But then what does that actually mean to you, right? So definitely, I always say, make sure that you write something down and you set goals for things that you understand, not just because your coach or the video told you so. All right, so next we're going to go take a look at that 80-20 principle, which again, everybody should be very familiar with. So 20% of the effort, 80% of the results. So, just curious, before I go ahead and just move on, what is the, so what does this, like, how do I word this? Anybody feel free to chime in and, kind of throw in their big rocks and, have you seen the whole, like this whole process and effect that, your big rocks of the 20% effort that, they've churned out a lot of results.
Yes. Well, 20% of the effort, I think, comes back to calling, and calling has turned into business. And then also trying to connect with where could leads come from? Could they come from divorce attorneys? Some people getting divorced, somebody needs a house, or somebody has to sell a house. Or are there lead generation funnels that I could tap into? Even your, I did a food drive and the marketing stunts, what are all those efforts that could lead to a result? And I think you have to be persistent with it. Not all of them are going to pay off, but you throw a lot against the wall and some things stick, as they say, and it turns into a result.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I mean, and then totally running off of what was said in Ed's class about that experiment. So
Right.
we can only fit so much in our bucket, but how we fill our bucket matters. If we start by filling the bucket with sand, we won't have room for the big rocks and gravel. But if we start with the big rocks first, then we can add the gravel and sand will fit in the space left over. So sand and gravel are the small things. They are the 80% that will only yield 20% of results in life. If we start with the big rocks or 20%, then we will get those things done and still be able to fit in the gravel and the sand. So let's see what else we have here. All right, let's jump over to the next one. Okay, so here we go. So this is all about just developing daily objectives here, and just kind of just finding a way to measure your progress on the way to those goals, right? So just making sure that, I mean, I guess falls in line with the, the little wins that you're going to be addressing and taking. But let's just dive into this a little bit. So under identifiable, you're asking yourself, what is your goal? Under the metric driven, we're looking at how will you measure your progress toward the attainment of each goal set? Then going over to attainable, do you have the correct systems and tools in place to set you up for success? Moving up to purposeful, is this goal in alignment with your weekly, monthly, and annual goals? And then the last one, timely, when will this goal need to be accomplished? So going along with just the whole, making sure that you're holding yourself accountable and making sure that you have your, I mean, the next slide we'll be talking about time blocking, but making sure that you have your day set up, your week set up, and even your month and your year set up, right? Month, quarter, year, onward like that, right? Like people always ask, what are your goals for 5 years even, right? Like I've heard that one at family reunion. Let's see. Yeah, and then as far as following along with the curriculum here, all it's going over is just making sure that with your 411 or with your however you may set your goals, is making sure that for one, that you are constantly making sure that they're updated, and for two, making sure that you're still following them. I think this was in Ed's class as well. Is you find a little success and it gets easy to abandon your goals, right? Especially like when the ball's rolling, you're making money, you're feeling good. Okay, but then after a certain amount of time, right? Like let's take for example, if I mean, even for me, I'm guilty of this, where I think from one friend that I helped get an apartment, I think he gave me like 3 or 4 referrals, right? And I didn't really have to do any work for that. And I pretty much, I mean, not even pretty much, I did abandon the goals that I had set for myself, right? Make sure I make, X amount of calls per day, per week, per month, right? Make sure I, do my best to secure this many appointments per month, right? But for me, I just kind of got caught up in the whole fact that, oh, wow, I have, 3 or 4 referrals that I can work on, whether it be, a handful more leases, or I think there was, a buyer out of a handful of those. But you still want to make sure that you follow along with that, because look at it now. I got, so out of those 4 people, a couple leases came out of it. The other 2 kind of just floated off into space. But what happened after that? I was just completely dry, right? And I can attribute that directly to the fact that I just didn't continue on with what I said I was going to do. So I didn't make the calls. I didn't hit my goals for the month.
Merlin, do you have a number for how many prospect people to call for like a 3-hour period of time one day?
So like in a 3-hour period of time, I mean, the way that I broke it down was doing like anywhere from 5 to 10 in the hour. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to directly translate to 10 an hour. That's usually what I went for, just because take into account the quality of the call that you're going into also. Like, is it just complete? Are you like going off of expireds? Are you going off of like somebody that's in your phone? Like honestly, if it's like if I'm calling like off of my friends list and people that I talk to frequently that I just kind of catch up with, I mean, who knows? In 3 hours, maybe I'll only be able to make 5 calls. So it definitely depends. And like you can break it out even more and say, like, if I'm calling expireds, I want to, like, I'm going to make 10 calls an hour. But if you're making, more personal calls of people that you personally know, that, you're expecting it to be, have 15, 20 minutes on the phone with each person. So, I think 5 to 10 per hour is fine. Like, let's see, what did I do this morning? I mean, I think I did just 5 this morning, actually. And that was in the span of maybe like I did an hour before, what is it? Yeah, before the 9 a.m. call, and then I did an hour after the 9 a.m. call. I think I did like 7 or 8 actually in those 2 hours. So
Thanks, Marlon.
yeah. Okay. So again, this is just kind of going over the time blocking, putting your big rocks in your calendar. So block most important tasks. Don't try to time block every minute of your day. And be careful not to confuse time blocking with just filling your calendar. I've done that too, where I've, just put the most important things on there, and then suddenly I've felt that like I'm not doing enough in my day, which drove me crazy, definitely drove me crazy, just because then I was obsessed with, I have 30 minutes here that I could squeeze in and do something, right? Oh, I can respond to these comments here in this 30 minutes, or what, I could probably come up with a new Instagram post in these like 30 minutes, and got a little obsessive, and it just kind of burned me out, and just like for what reason too, right? When I could have just kind of instead of trying to micromanage myself too much, and suddenly like breaking down the hour into like, okay, 15 minutes make this call, and then in the 30 minutes after that make an Instagram post, and then the whatever after that, like if you see people that like liked or commented on your post, send them a DM, like offering them like a free mug or something like that, or get into like a drawing for a free like mug that I have, stuff like that. Let's see. Wow, time flew by, and I am not following along with this presentation very well. Okay, so we're just going to jump along then. Go ahead and be accountable here. So, along the lines of that last wheel that we saw a few around here, it's going down to accountability. So accountability is an attitude and an approach. Accountability is a tool for changing, achieving results. And accountability is a dynamic cycle, not a static concept. So accountability is a crucial part of achieving goals. Let's see. When reporting to someone else what you have done to make progress on your goals, you gain more focus and motivation. Think about accountability as a process. It is difficult to maintain drive over the long term, but when you have to defend your activities to an objective observer, it becomes easier to stay focused. So accountability is about getting and using feedback. You must take time on a regular planned basis to meet with whoever is holding you accountable, look at your numbers, and refocus your efforts. So, does everybody here have, that somebody or that something that kind of makes sure that you're accountable? Again, falls in the same line as the 411, and what Ed teaches is great. But just want to make sure that everybody does have, that in line, like some type of a accountability partner. Yep.
Mhm.
Alrighty.
Yep.
Cool. And then at the same time, that's just saying that, there is a part like self-discipline there, right? There is, you can be accountable for yourself, and some people prefer that, right, rather than having a coach or an accountability partner. And again, that's perfectly fine as well. Along the lines of just making sure that your 411 is filled out, that you're doing your daily activities, that you are time blocked. By all means, if that's something that you feel more comfortable with doing that on your own, that's awesome. Okay, here we go. So accountability now, creating a plan for accountability. So sharing your goals, plan your check-ins, and make a date. So this is just kind of, recapping what we just said about it, is just making sure that you have all your goals lined up, whether they be short, long, medium goals. Then the second here, how often do you need to check in, right? Like, sometimes you can cut. If you know yourself, you're going to want to set up a time with your coach, or even just somebody else in the office, just to kind of speak something into existence. And are you going to wait until the very last second, so the moment that you feel like you're just fading so fast and you're losing focus and you want to quit, is that the time that you're going to say, like, okay, I need to talk to my coach? Or are you just going to make it something super consistent and just say, maybe once or twice a week, I'm going to talk to, if you're friends with somebody in the office, it doesn't necessarily have to be a coach, but if you just kind of want to bounce your ideas off of each other and, share your goals and see how, maybe they have something to say about them that kind of inspires you to add another way to achieve your goal. Like if somebody is like just a rock star at social media, and you're a rock star just at the the making phone calls, right? Maybe one or the other might be able to inspire you to, like, oh, maybe I should get onto the phones more. You know what? Maybe I should focus on social media more. So it's definitely good to have somebody else in the office that is they can be around the same level, that can just kind of like help you move on, right? Saying like, this is what's helping me, this might be able to help you, so try it out. And I mean, even for me, even just hearing it, right? Because one thing that we so let me string my thought here. But one thing is like, like Maury said, right? Just go on calls, right? Calling is super important. Right. Okay, great. Yeah, I knew that. Okay. Social media engagement, right? That's super important too. Okay, right. I knew that. But then it's so easy just to keep on telling yourself, like, yeah, I know that. I know what I'm supposed to do, right? But actually saying it out loud and sharing it with somebody, at least for me, that makes a huge difference, because it, I mean, again, bringing up the whole speaking something into existence. Like if I say to myself, like, yeah, you know what, I do need to make those calls this morning, right? I'm going to make those calls this morning. It really helps me out, because it's really easy to say, like, yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll get it done. Yeah, I know I'm supposed to like comment back. Yeah, I know I'm supposed to, like, follow somebody else on my Facebook or my Instagram because they left me a nice comment. But actually doing it and actually saying it out loud and saying it to an accountability partner can make all the difference, honestly. I definitely think so. All right. Oh, wow. Look at that. Ahas. So we started a little late. So, I mean, I can just go ahead and I'll leave the floor open right now for the last few minutes that we're here. Feel free to share your ahas, ask me any questions you'd like. I'll go ahead and I can throw in my personal email as well as my number. Feel free to text me, call me. Again, I've been working on the brokerage side for a long time. I am an agent now also. So I'm right there with you, and just let me know if you have anything.
Yeah, I liked what you said about the seller listing and buyer presentation, to be prepared. So if you talk to someone that you can talk to them right then and there, and not lose that potential sale or transaction.
Absolutely.
I also have a question about that. I was talking to Ed the other day. He said also it's good to play ahead for your lockbox,
Mhm.
so that you don't get caught off guard when someone wants to see something. And and you have to wait with the lockbox, because you're not signed up for it. Is that the case?
Repeat that one more time. It was kind of a little choppy.
Sure. Ed said the other day to me, because I coach with Ed,
Mhm.
and he was telling me the super key. He said you should probably pay for that now because
Oh,
if somebody wants to see a house or an apartment, it's a lease or something, and you don't have access to it, and you have to wait a few days. Is that right to get?
yeah. So I mean, I think they can do like a very quick turnaround. Like I think it, like when I signed up for it, I think it took just maybe like the afternoon. Like I think I had access by the end of the day.
Okay.
But definitely, I think it's like $15, $20 a month. But if you're like super active and you are, calling prospective buyers left and right, you are definitely going to want it. Because me
Okay.
personally, I used to just, well, now it's on the phone, but they used to have like little fobs that you had to kind of use and like hold up to the lockbox. Like I used to just live off of like borrowing people's little fobs, and sometimes, um, they would say, "Oh shoot, so and so's already borrowing it." Right? Just
Yeah.
call them and see if if they can return it today, right? And it's kind of a tough way to live. You're just like, oh gosh, okay, sure, you want to see this today? Just give me like 15 minutes. Let me get right back to you, right? And like trying to coordinate it with somebody else. So
Right.
definitely, if you're like just really active and like really trying to get those buyers, definitely have it ready to go.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep, no problem. Let's see what else. Yeah, I mean, floor's open. I'll maybe do it for another couple minutes. So 12:50, I will go ahead and sign off. But
Okay.
any other questions, feel free to, shoot me a text, email me. Yeah, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Merlin.
Thank you.
Yep, you got it. All right, everybody. Thank you for a great class. Sorry if it was a little choppy. I was not expecting to teach today, but I hope I still gave some valuable insights here.
For sure. Appreciate it.
Yep, definitely. So yeah, feel free to contact me, and then I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay. Bye, Marilyn.
Bye, guys.
Take care, guys.